Last week, the creators of OpenAI's ChatGPT launched something which is fundamentally going to change the game if you're a marketeer, brand, or business trying to build something with generative AI. It's called ChatGPT Plug-ins. ChatGPT plugins basically is like opening up the App Store on iOS or Android to this large language model chat interface that we've all started playing around with. Think about being able to add the power of different websites that you've used previously, things like trip planning websites, tools like Wolfram Alpha that can do calculations, and all sorts of restaurant bookings and reservation apps, into the power of an interface that can talk to you in natural language. That's what ChatGPT plugins are. There's already a whole bunch of them available on the market from brands that we would all recognize. Things like Expedia and Kayak that can help you do things like request flights or trip information and turn it into a simple answer. You can go and get recipe information from Instacart, or you can go and book a table with OpenTable. We've seen people try and do this kind of thing on the open web before. In particular, Google have tried it in a couple of instances with their latest language models. But this is the first consumer application we've seen of being able to plug in actual apps and websites into a large language model interface right there in the chat field so that you can use it yourself. With these new AI plugins, you can start using them straight away once you've been approved onto the waitlist. Things like OpenTable, Expedia, and Instacart, as you can see in this demo, are being added to the chat interface. Then we can begin to start putting in our requests just like we would do in ChatGPT normally. Long, free-form questions that go straight into that text box. But because we've now got the power of the language model being able to talk to these applications, it can pull on things like APIs, real-time data, and functions from those apps and websites, and actually use that information to give you an answer. Now, this is a real game changer because up until recently, GPT-4 in the newest model still only has access to data from early 2021, which is when they cut off the training information. And as such, it means that it can't actually access the open web and start using these kind of functions to create real, useful prompts. But with the addition of these functions from these different websites, we're able to actually start getting things done, like planning meals, booking reservations, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And particularly interesting is the addition of Zapier. Many of you might be familiar with Zapier's powerful interaction paths that allow you to connect together different applications that you're already using for productivity workflows. Things like being able to connect your Slack channels to Asana, those Asana channels talking to a Google Doc, and then it all being able to send you an email. But up until now, this hasn't been the easiest of things to connect unless you're a bit of a power user. I've had a go myself, and it's not always that simple. But with the power of something like ChatGPT, being able to just write a simple integration like, every time a new sales lead is added to my HubSpot database, why not create a new line in this Excel spreadsheet and also send an email or a Slack message to our whole channel? That type of interaction can just be coded through natural language. These types of customizations are just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what's going to come down the line. And I think this is going to open up a whole new frontier for brands and organizations to start creating their own plugins, treating it a little bit like those early days of iOS and Android. We're going to see a whole bunch of silly things created, but very quickly we're going to end up with some really highly functional applications. And because we're able to just use natural language to get things done, there's a real possibility that ChatGPT could begin to start replacing some of the apps that you already use today, and even things like Google as it begins to connect to the open web. So let me know, what are you most excited to see come to ChatGPT with these new plugins? Are you going to create one of your own? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in building something like this for your brand or business, drop us an email at info@vixenlabs.co and one of the strategy AI team will get in touch.